In the art space, both clients and artists can be nightmares, so let's look at a couple cases. And before we get into this, disclaimer, please don't send hate to any parties involved. First, we have this post posted by O2Y the Commander, and O2 writes, "Commission paid, have a nice life. Stop bothering me." So these are DMs between them and an artist, and they said, "I paid the full commission amount. The commission is done. End of story." And the artist says, "Yeah, I know you have to do the full commission, but at the moment I'm talking about the tip. So don't you think I deserve it? I mean, I do too much hard work for you. Whomever I work for, they give me a tip from the heart. I don't tell them, but I still told you because the tip is my motivation and it gives me the ability to do my work further. So I hope you too. Please give me a tip." Ugh. Look, man, tipping your artist is always great. If you want to, a little extra love, but like you don't have to, right? No one's forcing you to give a tip. Well, I guess maybe unless you're this person. But to be in the DMs of your client begging for a tip, it's just kind of icky, you know what I mean? A commenter writes, "If you want more money, you should raise your prices, not demand from a client when perhaps they were saving money for a long time to be able to have a drawing." And to that I agree, right? Like if hypothetically the commission was 50 bucks and you feel like your commission is worth $75, instead of making everyone uncomfortable by begging for a tip, how about you set your price to $75? So then it's a win-win, right? The client goes in knowing exactly how much they're gonna pay, and you get the money you feel like is worth it for your art. Even beyond the art space, like a general like begging for a tip, like please, please, it just feels weird. I'm not talking about like eating at restaurants. I'm talking about like other things where it's a service where a tip is very like optional. Another commenter adds, "Tip. Expecting a tip nullifies the reason a tip is given in the first place. You're not owed a tip. You're only owed what you charge for the commission. A tip is extra if the commissioner deems it worth giving. Insisting on one makes it less likely to occur as you burn goodwill." And O2 says, "Yep, I'm the commissioner in this situation." Because, yeah, I guess some people thought they were the artist, they're not. And somebody had asked if they're from the US. There's already like a big narrative in the US about tipping culture. I personally think everybody should be paid fairly, and this also goes for restaurants paying their service workers and servers fairly in the first place. Because how is it in the ripe old age of 2025, in some places in the US, it's actually legal for service workers, like servers, etc., at restaurants to be paid below minimum wage with the, "well, your tip will cut the difference." Like, that's not how you give people a living wage. And O2 responds, "From no, but currently there, yes." And another commenter add, replied to the message, quote, "I appreciate the hard work you put in. However, the agreed upon amount was the full commission, which I've paid in full. Tips are entirely optional, and I consider the payment complete as per our initial agreement. Thank you for your service," end quote. And O2 wrote, "I chose a different option." This is just funny. The artist said, "Please surprise me. Give me the benefit of my hard work, or give me the tip of my hard work, or I will be right. So now are you paying me?" And O2 says, "Keep this up and I'll block you." And the artist sad reacted to it and said, "I'm sorry." Like, this is actually just wild, man. But honestly, I admire them for having a backbone of steel, just being like, "Yo, chill out, bro." O2 adds, "For those of you who responded to the artist tweet, thank you for your kind words and support, but I will not reveal their name. I don't think it would be fair to have them be harassed if I were to reveal their profile." And I think honestly, it's a very fair point because their original post went very viral. Here we have a second situation from another icky artist. This is posted on Threads by Laura's Knitting Stuff. Laura writes, "So this was an odd interaction, now deleted, that I had under a pic of my dog. I found it awkward because I wasn't totally sure if it was a sales pitch, and I also didn't want to imply that artists charge too much. I just can't afford to pay what art is worth right now, not when I keep buying yarn like it's going out of style. Was I a jerk? Is there a better approach if something similar happens in the future?" And an artist, in response to the photo of the dog, replied, "Hello, I would love to create a unique digital artwork based on your pet's image. Are you open to it?" And they attach an image of a dog, like a drawing. And Laura said, "I have no problem with you using her image to create your art, but I also don't have the budget at the moment to purchase any artwork. So if this is a sales thing, I have to decline." And they said, all right. By the way, I don't charge much as I'm a pocket-friendly artist. I just charge 20 USD for an artwork." Look, man, in this economy as an artist, it's hard to make money. It's hard to get sales. Shilling under other people's posts being like, "I don't charge much, I'm pocket friendly, it's just 20 bucks. Not really how to go about this. Another person commented, "Is this the same person?" And there is somebody called Artistic Avenue who responds under the photo of a dog with an art piece writing, "Hey, hope you're doing great. Would you like me to turn your pet's photo into a beautiful digital portrait?" Or like piece says, "No thank you, period." And then Artistic says, all right. Another commenter adds, "Ignoring the AI part because everyone can understand why it's crappy. But as an artist, Art is a luxury, and while it means you can't complain about art prices, it also means you can't force anyone to be your client, precisely because it's a luxury. Another commenter adds, I wouldn't call it a luxury, more like a privilege, where you have to do something to win other. Or maybe both. Another person adds $20 to run your dog's photo through ChatGPT. Another commenter responds about how it's frustrating because their art is already pretty affordable and people are offering cheap AI and they think that they are also running artwork through AI. And they felt like they had to reduce prices because they aren't getting commissions. Another person replies suggesting the opposite, to raise the price actually, so that there is a perceived value of quality. To this, to be honest, I agree. It's definitely always a tricky situation to like gauge the market because at the same time, if you're struggling to make ends meet and you're already not getting commissions at your current price, it's going to feel counterintuitive to double your price because you're like, well, then I definitely won't get commissions if I double my price. But honestly, a lot of times you will find that you have a better commission experience if you increase your price a bit because you end up tapping into a different market. I'm not saying that people who have limited budgets are a pain in the butt, but there are definitely cases where you will typically find that the more expensive your commission is, the easier people are to work with. A lot of times, the people who like will haggle and kind of like nitpick your art a lot are people who are trying to get art for as cheap as possible. I'm not talking if it's like financially struggling and trying to get a commission here or there to make yourself happy. There are people out there who don't see the value in art, so therefore they try to haggle prices as low as possible and not treat art as the creative work that it is. So by pricing your artwork higher, you tend to avoid like more nightmarish clients like that. And another commenter adds, hello, I scrolled a bit and didn't see anyone point out the most AI bits I noticed so far, so here's a visual of things that look wrong and don't make sense for this drawing, that typically signify AI, as said by many people in this thread. The fang might be me personally, but the tongue kind of jolting up like that implies a tooth pushing it up rather than a negative space. And they kind of look at the dog, where here the tongue is kind of like punched up a little bit, so it would imply there is a fang there, which like I agree, I have a dog at home. His tongue looks like that. The toes are uneven. One foot has 3 toes, one foot has 4. The side looks like they were trying to draw another arm, but it wasn't there. There is a line across the other arm that doesn't make any sense. And part of the leg shadow that would not be visible, but is visible in this piece. And the OP adds in the comments, consensus is 1, I behaved appropriately, and 2, this art, in quotes, is AI generated. Thanks, everyone. Now here we have the client side of it. This is posted in r/business by user hotkey6558. Community, feeling guilty for wanting to cut off a longtime client, but I'm so tired. So I feel like kind of an a-hole for ignoring this long time art commissioner, but I'm genuinely drained. They've been a client for like 3 to 4 years. Super consistent, commission me every few months or so, been really kind, patient, and even sent friends my way. But honestly, they're exhausting. They're chatty, they sometimes ask personal questions, and constantly push for discounts. And even when they do pay, it's like a month late, which is understandable and it's very sad, like pet hospitalizations or they got hospitalized or a surgery. Most of their commissions are soft NSFW, which I allow via TOS. And they've asked before about fully NSFW. I told them I don't really do it and they seem fine with it. But they keep trying to toe the line and ask, how NSFW can I go though? It's not really creepy, but it makes me uncomfortable. There was even a moment years ago where I did a brief art versus artist post that included my face. Deleted it quickly because I didn't want my face out there, and later they asked me to send it to them, which honestly weirded me out, but they quickly apologized when I declined. I don't want to make assumptions, but maybe they're neurodivergent or really bad at picking up social cues. I'm not super informed on that stuff, so correct me if I'm wrong. Every few months, I try to quietly ignore them, but they always chat every time or pop up on another site. I want to block them, I really do. But the guilt eats me alive because they've been a longtime supporter and I'm way too soft-hearted. But I really don't have the energy to deal with them anymore. And I don't know how to set a boundary without feeling like the worst person alive. I feel like this is always tricky, because like it can be twofold. You can have a client and you can be very, very grateful for their business and the consistency they bring you. Sorry, I'm looking at my cat's cone. It looks like it's coming off. And at the same time, frustrated that this person is consistently pushing boundaries. It's definitely twofold, right? Because like a boundary is as firm as you enforce it. But at the same time, there are people who tend to like see how far they can get away with. And some people do it intentionally and some people do it unintentionally, and communication is really key here. But at the end of the day, if what they're doing, asking for a photo of your face or whatever, if it's making you uncomfortable, that is enough grounds for you to put your foot down and be like, hey, would really appreciate if we take it a step back. The top comment, Anteater Poo, says, you can let them know that you're taking a different business approach in order to be more professional. So you will no longer be doing NSFW and you'll be more firm on client relationship, staying only client relationships. You appreciate their business and long-time support, but this is the way way it will be going forward. Idol Delilah says, from one artist to another, never feel bad for setting boundaries, especially with a person that seems to disregard your own. Doesn't matter if they're neurodivergent. You need to make clear this is just a business relationship. Them consistently commissioning you doesn't entitle them to anything more than the art they've paid for. Personally, I would just block them and take a breath. They'll be fine. Don't worry about upsetting them. You're allowed to upset people. Hold yourself in higher regard and don't let this person walk all over you. It's not worth your mental health to be a people pleaser. Prioritize working with clients who respect your boundaries and don't make you feel exhausted at the idea of engaging with them. And this is a very long comment, but they said, I may not have caught it in your post, but did you tell him? Did you tell him that you want to separate personal and professional life and you feel uncomfortable having deep conversations? And they're asking because they have a similar client who's not bad, but just a little bit pushy. And every time they let them know, hey, here's my boundaries, they're genuinely sorry. At some point, they would take distance to themselves. Maybe they'll come back, maybe not. And that the person is not a telepath, so they need to be communicated with clearly with where your boundaries lie because sometimes they might be crossing them unintentionally. Another commenter, and this one's on the bottom, but I thought this was very interesting. They added, there's a great book called Book Yourself Solid, and it talks about dropping dud and or draining clients to make room for the ones you want to work with. You could drop them, or you could also just be upfront. And this is the final story. What would you do if a client criticized your work? This was posted in r/tattoo artist by Burnt Biscuit Bitch. Writing, client says design looks like bad AI art. Lady wanted a full color dog portrait. I'm mainly a full color traditional artist and currently finished my second year in the trade. This would have been my third dog portrait and the first two turned great. She sends me the reference and I spent 2 days drawing the design. I made the mistake of sending the design early so she can see it. I thought it looked great based on the photos she sent me and the fact she wanted the dog's mouth open without any of the references having that pose. She responds with, I wanted it more realistic. This looks cartoonish, like bad AI art. I personally was floored. What a switch up and what a way she had with words. No need to be a bee, you know? I told her I wasn't a realistic artist. This she knows. She's seen other dog portraits I've done, and that I would try to move in that direction the best I could. I ended up canceling the appointment given the context of the convo. If I'm not the right artist for you, that's fine. What do you guys think about the design and references she sent me? The first 2 pics are references she sent, and the final photo is the actual drawing. The last 2 are the first dog portraits that I have done, and the final is the best reference of her dog she sent over. So reference, another reference. This is the art piece in question. Art piece she's done, another completed art piece, and the reference. I think the art looks really cute. So the comments are really split. The top comment says, I think the comments from the client are uncalled for, but I do think there are some drawing challenges with your design. I recommend doing some study of dog heads and faces. Nothing crazy, just some quick sketches. So you'll be familiar enough with the anatomy of most dogs that adjusting a design without having a perfect photo reference will be easier in the future. I also agree with the other comment mentioning how the colors clash a bit. A cool colored background and a simple frame like in the first tat might have worked better. You'll never be able to please everyone. Just keep on trucking. Maybe you can repurpose the design into a flash. Another commenter add, her comments weren't the nicest. However, when it comes to being a tattoo artist, you have to learn to take criticism. If a client doesn't like something, fix it. You're lucky enough they told you they didn't like it. I do agree your design has some flaws. The mouth doesn't look like a normal cute happy smiling pity, it's kind of half open. And the eyes aren't even, and one is way bigger than the other. And the colors also don't look good. A yellow background on a yellow tan dog makes it all mushed together. Edit to add, I just saw where you kept that poor lady's deposit. You're the a-hole for that. Refund it or give her a tattoo she's happy with. So commenters are basically asking, somebody says it looks sick. I had a question though, in this case, did she set a deposit and if so, did you refund her? I wouldn't since she's seen your work before. Just curious. And then OP says she knew upfront it wasn't refundable. I won't refund it. And this got downvoted, 39 downvotes. A commenter says, wait, you canceled the appointment and you're not refunding it? And OP says she knew upfront that the deposit is non-refundable. It's clearly stated when you book with me. I go through the Porter app. And another commenter responds, yeah, but you canceled the appointment, not her. All because she asked you to rework the design a little bit. And OP adds, she didn't ask to rework. Her exact response was, quote, I understand. I did send the reference photos before I paid the deposit. I don't think this looks anything like what I referenced. This looks like bad AI art. Thank you for your time. Have a happy Halloween, end quote. So I'm curious about your thoughts. I can't comment on the tattoo side of it because I don't actually have any, but I mean, it's kind of like a both of y'all are kind of a bit of the a-hole, you know, because like if you are the artist and you cancel the service, typically that means the client gets to keep their deposit. At least for like other services I've done, like nails and things like that. Like if they cancel it, then I get to keep my deposit because the deposit is there to protect the service provider from clients from bailing last minute. Maybe the tattoo artist thought, oh, well, like the deposit is to protect the work I've done. And because they've spent X amount of time on the work, that they should keep the deposit. I don't know. I also think the client is a bit rude in what they said, like, oh, this looks like crap, this looks like bad AI art. I mean, if you commission somebody for a specific tattoo and they've done a similar one before, like this artist did two other dog tattoos before, you must have known how it looked like, right? To some degree. Like you know you're gonna get something in line with like previous work they've done, and asking them to do something out of left field that they don't have a portfolio showcasing this experience, it's kind of hard. Just go to an artist who is experienced in realistic dog portraits if you don't want a more stylized one. So, food for thought there. But I'm curious about your thoughts about all of these. Don't send hate to any parties involved, but would love to hear your thoughts. And curious if you guys like this like more compilation-y style of shorter stories. I'm just experimenting. I'm getting my wisdom teeth taken out tomorrow, so that's probably why I will have like 8 videos where I'm in the exact same outfit. So yeah, please bear with me, guys. So anyways, if you like this video, I appreciate it if you like and subscribe. Don't forget to check me out on Etsy. I have digital art there for streamers and creators like emotes and overlays. I also have a coffee with free resources like a free sponsorship guide, and I stream on Twitch 3 days a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays at 6 p.m. PST. So catch y'all on my Twitch when I am done recovering from my wisdom teeth removal or in another video. Peace.